Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day. To start things off, investment banking giant known as Goldman Sachs has quietly begun signing up a limited number of customers for its yet to launch Bitcoin trading product. Citing a source familiar with the matter, The Block reports that the 149-year-old bulge bracket bank has onboarded a small number of clients to actively trade the derivative, a non-deliverable forward, which is a cash-settled product that is comparable to a futures contract but does not trade on an exchange. Additionally, the bank continues to consider launching custody services for crypto assets. Notably, the publication source was also contradicted an earlier report from another crypto site which alleged that Goldman Sachs was actively exploring the creation of a non-deliverable forward for Ethereum, the native asset of the Ethereum platform, that would have been a major stamp of approval for Ethereum as well as altcoins in general, as it seeks to achieve the level of Wall Street exposure that Bitcoin has begun to see over the past 12 months. However, the source said that the bank is not pursuing the creation of an Ether derivative, at least at this time. One can only assume that they're definitely planning on it. They're probably trying to gauge exactly how, hyped up Ethereum is, like how many people are actually interested in it, because everyone's right now, when you talk to most general people, what they know about cryptocurrencies, the first thing they'll say is, yeah, I know what a Bitcoin is. And if you kind of go down the line of cryptocurrencies, interestingly enough, many people have heard of Ripple more than they've heard of Ethereum. And then once you get to like Stellar, and some people have heard of Litecoin, after that, no one else has any idea what else is kind of happening in the cryptocurrency space unless they're in the space. At present, Bitcoin derivatives are available on several regulated U.S. trading platforms, including options exchanges such as CME and CBOE. Both of these firms offer cash-settled Bitcoin futures contracts, and each has given investors reasons to believe that they will expand their crypto offerings in the future. CBOE, on its part, has outright expressed its desire to remain a leader in the cryptocurrency derivatives marketplace, while CME has launched an Ether price reference rate, but in public statements has been less than enthusiastic about the crypto industry. So Goldman Sachs typically isn't that often in the news when it comes to cryptocurrencies, and the fact that they are offering or starting to begin to offer these type of services to only certain specific people, I can only assume once again that they're trying to offer it to the richest of the rich, because we've heard before from U.S. regulators that and many other governments around the world actually as well, that these governments feel more comfortable with people being able to get into the space if they are seasoned investors, and therefore they have been into things like this before. And this typically means that they have hundreds of millions of dollars. They know what they're doing more than other people who do not have hundreds of millions of dollars typically know what they're doing. It's interesting. It's great. It's kind of cool. The fact that Goldman Sachs is now interested in Bitcoin, but the fact that these are also cash settled and not physically Bitcoin settled. Once again, for me, in situations like this, like I said before, and I told you guys, I heard it in a podcast many times, the idea is that nobody wants to be first. Nobody wants to be last, and everybody kind of wants to be second. Everybody is waiting for someone else to kind of jump into the pool to kind of do something and experiment with Bitcoin before everyone else. And when everyone else sees that the water's fine, this is kind of when everyone else jumps in. I'm pretty sure many of these major institutions, at least in my own opinion, they're probably desperately trying to figure out a way to be able to get into the cryptocurrency space physically in some way. But I have a strong inkling that a lot of them maybe have not received the proper, not paperwork, or maybe it just has to do with the lack of overall clarity in the cryptocurrency space. And this could be why the ICE/NYSE are trying to maybe get into it first. Who knows exactly what's going on, but it's kind of confirmed at this point that Goldman Sachs is probably desperately trying to figure out a way to be able to profit from the cryptocurrency space. Sweden is in the news. That's not something you hear every single day. The Riksbank is researching ways to create a secure and efficient payment platform for an e-krona. Sweden's central bank, the Riksbank, is moving closer to issuing a central bank digital currency, or a CBDC. In September of 2017, the bank published the first report of the e-krona project, in which it looked at the potential for a state-issued digital currency. On Friday, October 26, it published a second report. According to a press release, the use of cash in Sweden is in decline. A survey conducted by Riksbank in 2018 showed that only 13% of Swedish citizens use cash in their latest purchases, while in 2010 the number was around 39%. This decline is in the use of cash presents a unique problem for Sweden's central bank, the press release states. It said, today's digital payment market means that we face a new situation in which all means of payment accessible to the general public are issued and controlled by private agents. If the state, via the central bank, does not have any payment services to offer as an alternative to the strongly concentrated private payment market, it may lead to a decline in competitiveness and a less stable payment system. Ultimately, it may also risk eroding basic trust in the Swedish monetary system. Some of these problems could be neutralized or mitigated by an e-krona. If you have time sometime during the day, maybe after this video, if you have time as well, or maybe sometime later on today, if you have nothing else to do, maybe you find yourself with your tablet on the train or something like that at some point, to try to find a documentary on exactly what's happening in Sweden as far as the decline in people actually using fiat currencies, or more so everything, or rather a large part of what's happening in Sweden right now is completely digitized. I spoke about this before. It had to be about a month and a half ago. For some reason, people thought that I said that in all of Sweden, there is no cash left. And I also stated that in other parts of Europe as well, where I live, that many of the people in certain countries and cities prefer to use card, or like that new tapping card feature, as opposed to actually using cash. And other people thought that I said that there was no more cash in Europe. I don't know where people are getting these things from. I think people hear me, but they don't want to hear exactly what I'm saying sometimes. But what's happening in Sweden in particular is quite interesting, because there is a rapid decline. Like older people typically, let's say around 55, 60 higher, somewhere around that range in Sweden. They typically are very much into using cash. This is what they kind of prefer. Younger people have completely gone the opposite way, and they only are using some type of digital thing. I can't remember that there's 2 famous apps or something like that are inside of Sweden, and everyone has it on their phone. And people, they were showing in one documentary I was watching, they were showing people at a flea market, and people were buying secondhand clothing and stuff like that, and they were scanning a barcode that was on someone's pair of jeans. It was a very interesting system. But Sweden, this might freak a couple people out. But what's also been happening now is that a lot of people, there are a lot of people in Sweden who are of the mindset that they no longer need cash in general, and that everything can kind of be done with their bodies. And I was watching the documentary, and it was actually kind of weird as well. But what it came down to is that a lot of people in Sweden are starting to get implants under their left hand. Yeah. I had to look at my head to figure out which one it was. Left hand. And it's this little chip that goes in between the index finger and the thumb. And they're trying to make sure that you can use it for purchases, and you can open your front door with it, and you can all these other. It's a little out there for me. I understand the digitized future, but the implant part is a little bit of a step in the different direction, if I may say so. By considering issuing a digital version of Sweden's fiat currency, the Riksbank is not looking to replace the Swedish krona, but instead use the e-krona as a complement to physical cash. The issuance of a central bank digital currency has the potential to strengthen the entire payment system in Sweden by offering an alternative to private payment systems, especially in times of crisis, when these private systems are subject to failure. Doing so would provide citizens such access to a state-guaranteed means of payment and not leave Swedish citizens dependent on private payment solutions. There was an episode of, I want to say it was Unconfirmed, Unchained, some podcast. It was one of those two. I can't remember exactly so many of the podcast names end up meshing in my head because there are just so many that I listen to. And they were talking about that there was something happened a week or two ago where it was in China. It has something to do with one of the world's governments, and I want to say it's the United States. They had a discussion about the issuance of a central bank digital currency, or an e-dollar or something equivalent to that, if you will, simply because the idea is now that it can be better managed, obviously, than fiat currencies. You have no idea how much paper money is kind of floating around out there. The government will be able to see it at all times, and it has something to do with you can mathematically figure out how to make your currency stronger than another country. If everything is just numbers on a screen, you can kind of move things around and delete money, if you will, that's kind of floating around in the system. And you can figure typically when countries are trying to devalue their currency or to make their currency stronger against another country, a lot of, not math has to go into, but the old money that was printed out there is destroyed, and they have to kind of go through all the numbers. But if you have everything on a screen, and you can figure out exactly how much money was put out there and how much more should be put out there to be able to hit your inflation levels that you're trying to hit every single year. They were talking about that there's now a fear amongst certain governments And I think we saw this before as well when China was also talking about potentially creating their own digital currency, as far as like another country being able to mathematically and computationally, if you will, be able to solve the issues of inflation, and also being able to, at will, at any given moment, decrease the amount of circulating money chips, whatever you want to call them, if it's digital, kind of floating out there in order to be able to gain the competitive edge against another country. It's very weird. It's very, very interesting. We still have this idea floating around that a lot of people think that when governments or central banks do decide to release their own digital currencies, the idea is that cryptocurrencies as we have them right now will have become so mainstream that more people will rather use cryptocurrencies than the central bank digital currencies. That's not to say that these will falter, at least immediately. But typically the idea, when you listen to people like Andreas Antonopoulos and many other people, like major names in the cryptocurrency space, they all believe at some point we're obviously going to have e-fiats, if you will, but they will be pushed aside because the general public will feel more comfortable with cryptocurrencies. If that's actually going to happen, nobody knows. I would like a world where we just used, like, I would like if we had like 25 different cryptocurrencies that we could pay with all around the world. That'd be kind of great. But as far as maybe not, I wouldn't even call them fiat-backed cryptocurrencies anymore. Like, if there is no fiat and it's just numbers on a screen, I'm still a little weirded out about the fact that governments will be able to look on a screen, control the amount of money that's floating around at any given time, increase the supply or decrease the supply, and also should there be some type of a banking world economic problem that's happening, that governments will simply be able to hit a button and freeze all payments. That's not something I'm looking forward to. And it's the idea that if we should have an event like that, that people will even move farther away from central bank digital currencies simply because nobody wants their money to be frozen. Imagine freezing the currency for an entire country because something economically horrible is happening. Probably not something that a lot of people want, but we are definitely moving towards, we're moving down that road because this is going to happen. This is like the 15th country who has announced that they are thinking of developing some type of a CBDC. Alrighty, let's move on. Yeah. So she may not be a fan of Bitcoin, but former Federal Reserve Chair known as Janet Yellen now has a small amount of Bitcoin in her possession. On Monday, Yellen explained why she believes Bitcoin is not a useful currency during an appearance at the Canada FinTech Forum. The former chairperson of the U.S. Central Bank has struck critical tones in the past towards cryptocurrency, but elsewhere had said she views blockchain as an important technology. A day later, according to an email obtained by CoinDesk, Raz Supravisi, the founder of Bitcoin gifting service Biterica, sent Yellen 0.003 Bitcoin, or roughly around $20 US, by way of her University California Berkeley email address. When contacted to confirm the gift, Yellen says she had received the Bitcoin. She said she received it. The long story short is there was something about a day or two ago that happened in the news where it was like, during this economic forum thing, and I decided not to put it inside the video. It was pretty much people standing in a line, waiting to get to the podium so that they could talk negatively about Bitcoin. I don't know if they got their jollies off of it, but it was the weirdest thing in the entire world. There was people nonstop back to back talking about Bitcoin has no use, Bitcoin's going to die, Bitcoin has no future, why are people using Bitcoin? I don't believe in Bitcoin, Bitcoin shouldn't be here. Why don't we have some other type of cryptocurrency that does this? I believe that the fluctuations are too crazy. People were talking about it's not a store of value, it's not digital gold, it's not this, it doesn't match the qualifications of a currency, it doesn't do this, and not a lot of people are using it. And I read through multiple articles and I was like, so they just don't like it. But I guess in response to all of this, someone decided to actually send her, albeit a small amount of Bitcoin, to be able to, what was the explanation? He said that I hope she, people are afraid of the unknown. I was hoping that when she logged into her Bitcoin wallet with her ID and password, she would just see it's just like a typical online bank. The money she owns is in there, in her control, ready to spend. I hope this sparks her openness to the technology. I'm going to say she probably could care less about $20 worth of Bitcoin, especially if she is the former head of the people who print out money and create money and the economic policies. But what have you, typically we've seen over the years some people's ideas of cryptocurrencies have completely changed. Also don't have it in this video, our old friend Jamie Dimon is in the news once again. He said he doesn't give an SHIT about Bitcoin and decided to go on a rant once again, which is really weird because we know that JP Morgan Chase is definitely into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. To what extent, we don't know, but it just seems like Mr. Jamie just needed to... I think he needs to hear himself speak sometimes. This is kind of what I think about Jamie Dimon. Anyway, let's move on. Waves is in the news, not something you hear very often. Waves, the custom blockchain platform, recently announced a new project to provide tools for developers to integrate blockchain into their games quickly. To help realize this, Waves platform is creating a fund of 1 million Waves to motivate developers to build their games on the Waves blockchain. The Waves team will be helping developers by providing extensive advice and assistance for embedding Waves functionality into their games. Comprehensive support will be given, including help with technology integration and the necessary documentation. They said this initiative was launched to showcase the versatility of the Waves technology and stimulate its adoption in such an important industry as gaming. I believe that the gaming sector will be an enthusiastic adopter of blockchain and will drive its widespread use. Given the mutual opportunity here, we are more than ready to reward developers for the effort they make in implementing their project within the Waves ecosystem. Waves is typically, like, you never really hear about Waves. It's good that they're in the news. It's good that they're, I don't know if they're taking a page from the book that the other cryptocurrencies have been doing. Like we saw with the Kick thing, we saw Ripple also, like their major cryptocurrency platforms are people who are trying to stay major or become majorer in the future, who have realized that you need to pay people in order to make these other things on top of your network. So the fact that I don't know exactly how much a wave is worth. I can't give you an exact number on that right now, but the point is paying other people and other developers to be able to build on your platform is incredibly smart. I hope they continue with this. I still believe that the future of cryptocurrency space is going to be ushered forward by some type of a game on top of a platform somewhere. Who knows exactly if it's going to be on Waves or on Tron or on Codius or on Ethereum or maybe even on the Lightning Network in 2.5 years. Who knows exactly where it's going to be, but I still firmly believe that if someone is smart enough to be able to create a video game or a game in general on top of a cryptocurrency platform or on top of a blockchain, especially if it uses that actual cryptocurrency and you can play games and fight enemies and fight dragons and stuff like that, and then you are rewarded in that cryptocurrency, at least like fragments of it, you would probably have a winner on your hands. I hope that someone is at least trying to create something like this. Not really sure. Priorities seem right now to be in updating these systems to be able to handle games like that. But it's very good that they are at least trying to make this a possibility. And I do commend them for this as well, simply because I think it's one of the most important ways, at least right now, to be able to try and achieve adoption for your blockchain and cryptocurrency project. Bank of America is in the news. I'll kind of slide through this one. Bank of America was awarded a patent for a device that stores cryptographic keys, and the document details hint at applications for cryptocurrencies. In a patent awarded on Tuesday by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the bank outlines a hardened storage device for storing private keys, such as those used for blockchain platforms, explaining that, at present, most keys are stored locally, protected by nothing more than a password. In such embodiment of the system, the authentication routine is conducted as part of a cryptocurrency transaction, a blockchain transaction, or the like, end quote. The patent references cryptocurrencies several times, though overall the document leaves it open keys of other sorts to be applied at the proposed device. According to Bank of America, given that computers storing these keys are usually connected to the internet or some public networks, local storage means they are continuously susceptible to being misappropriated. So Bank of America and many other banks around the world, it's so funny. They tried for so many years talking about how much they hated cryptocurrencies, how much they couldn't stand them, and Mr. Jamie Dimon, how much they just didn't care for the cryptocurrency space. But when you take out patents for things like this and you are trying to find a way to store cryptocurrency keys, which means you're trying to create some type of a stronghold for a cryptocurrency custody platform, it's just kind of ridiculous. I'm glad that these things are made public in some sort of way so that we can kind of see that they talk against themselves and they talk about how much they hate it. But the entire time we've noted now multiple times that for the last couple of years, they've been desperately trying to get into the cryptocurrency space any way that they can. Like I said, the idea is that nobody wants to be first. Everybody wants to be second. So I can only assume I'm still hopeful once Backed launches. This is when everyone else would kind of come out with their own ideas of what they plan on doing in the cryptocurrency space, because it's all but confirmed by now that the major banks inside the United States and probably in many other countries around the world are probably, if they're not trying to figure out how to have their own cryptocurrency exchange, which many of them have said that they're not going to do, they're also going. I can definitely see them trying to have or allow people to be able to have their own like cryptocurrency bank accounts, which is kind of an oxymoron, but it's going to be very interesting in that it's going to be the exact same way with the banks that we have right now. So they're going to ask you if you want to store your cryptocurrencies with them for a fee, instead of realizing that you can already store your cryptocurrencies by yourself for free. But yeah, just some little Bank of America news that we have out there. It's just so ridiculous. This is every single day we have another bank coming forward talking about that they plan on trying to get into crypto in some way. We have Goldman Sachs, the Swedish central bank. It's just where we are right now. Next up, Bithome is in the news. Major South Korean cryptocurrency exchange Bithome has reportedly signed a deal with an American fintech firm in an effort to open a securities token exchange in the United States. South Korean Yonhap news agency reported on the 1st of November, citing individuals familiar with the matter, because of course, Yonhap reports that Bithome signed an agreement with American crowdfunding platform Series 1. A Bithome official reportedly told the news agency that, he said, Series 1 actively sought to strike a deal with Bithome for accessing it as the most suitable partner. Bithome will ramp up efforts to develop into a global financial firm as the blockchain asset tokenization is expected to spread globally down the road, end quote. Security tokens, in addition to allowing holders to purchase goods and services, often promise investment returns and value appreciation, much like a traditional security. Sources purportedly told Yonhap that Series 1 will establish the exchange in the United States, which is interesting, during the first half of 2019. Also keep that in mind. While Bithome provides investment and the necessary technical support for operating the exchange, the most important parts of the thing that we have right here are they are trying to open a security exchange in the United States during the first half of 2019, which means anywhere from January, February, March, April, May, June 2019, there should be at least one cryptocurrency exchange that lists security tokens, which leads me to believe if all the other coins, Bitcoin and the like, are already able to be listed on many cryptocurrency exchanges simply because they are commodities or they are whatever, blah, 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 blah. The addition of another platform that will be able to list security tokens legally in the United States means, once again, that we are probably going to have something like we heard from Coinbase, where they potentially plan on adding anywhere from 200 to 300 coins in the near future. They said quickly. We have no idea how quickly is going to actually be. 6 months. Well, this one is 8. Give or less. 8 months. We should have. I'm interested to see exactly how cryptocurrency is going to transform. We have so much incredibly good news, and it's all just kind of news right now. Like, none of it is actually like materializing. I don't know if that's people waiting for the cryptocurrency market to actually move or what the idea of the entire thing actually is. On top of this as well, I forgot to mention this before, and I think it's kind of the most interesting part. For those who have never been into stock trading before and or mutual funds, there's something called the dividend. For those who do not know what a dividend is, it's pretty much like, let's say you hold a stock. Let's say that stock costs, let's say $100. And at the end of every quarter, so let's say every 3 months, a dividend pretty much means that you receive a portion of the returns that the company got. So let's say that stock of $100 gets you a dividend of, let's say, 1%. So you get $1 every 3 months. At the end of the year, for that $100 stock, you get $4 back. Now, let's say you are extremely rich, and this is how many rich people actually make their money. You have 1,000 of these $100 stocks, and you end up getting the 1% every single so-and-so. With security tokens as well, when securities are tokenized, and many companies begin to start to tokenize themselves, you will also be able to also receive the dividends as well from owning the security tokens, which is going to be very interesting. The entire security token thing is going to happen whether people like it or not. I know a lot of people don't really care for the idea of a security token, or rather the tokenization of things that belonged to companies that got us into our last financial crises. But it's definitely going to happen. I know a lot of people are probably going to try and invest in these as well. To be fair, I probably would as well, especially if there's something like if like Google or Microsoft offers like a level B stock or something like that, but it's digitized and you have a share in their profits and stuff like that every quarter, and you get that returned to you in like a cryptocurrency. I'd probably be all for that. I guess we have about 8 months, maybe, before until this actually ends up launching, and I can only assume I don't know. I don't want to speculate on when Coinbase is going to get their security license, but I can only assume that they are also going to try and do something similar to this as well. Last thing is the market is very odd. Certain coins have gotten up to exactly almost where they were before. It's very like it's okay. So you see this spike right here, and then you see it shooting back down. This happened multiple times. There were a couple of websites I was checking for prices, and Bitcoin's price was anywhere from like 6,700. I saw one that said 68. There was another one that said 6,250. CoinMarketCap right now says 6,392. I don't know what caused the spike. I don't know what caused the drop back down. Certain coins didn't really catch it. Other coins completely followed it and went straight up. At least the market's in green. I think that's the kind of takeaway that we get from this. I think Tether was also at $1 again recently as well. I was reading an article about it, and they were pretty much praising Tether for being back at $1, and they knew that it was real the entire time. If you've been paying the last week, 7 days, for those of you who were here, if you remember, the circulating supply of Tether was over 2 billion. And then I made a video a couple days ago. It was 1.9, and now it is 1.7 billion. And I told you guys before, I have a very strong inkling that, Tether's actually almost near the number 10 spot again, which means it should be pushed by relatively soon. I think my own personal thoughts, Tether's probably going to have less than 1 billion tokens out there relatively soon. I think they're trying to get rid of them quietly so that other people maybe just don't think that they realize. But I realize, and Tether should not have been as big as it was for no apparent reason. But yeah, like I said, most of the market is green right now. I know there's so many people working behind the scenes who are probably desperately trying to move the prices back up. No word onto exactly what this was. Maybe it was just a what do they call it? Like a dead cat bounce or something like that. Something's dead. Something's not working anymore. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching and or listening. I do appreciate all of your support more than you could possibly begin to imagine. Let's hope, as it is November 1st, that the market will, in some capacity, start to move back up again. Maybe it was just a little bounce and everyone got really excited at the same exact time. Thank you once again, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you.